traders. It's Monday, beginning of August, and it might be interesting week because on Friday we have payrolls. Usually, it's a tradition that when we have payrolls, market is more volatile, but it's only Friday, so still a lot of time. Beginning of the week doesn't look too exciting. I see that's not much on the calendar, but this session, we are in beginner's room. This session is about scalping. Scalping means taking small few pips in a short time and trying to do it many times per day. What we need for a scalping, to scalp? Well, we need, of course, a chart. I usually use charts between 5 minutes to 1 hour. It depends on the volatility of the instrument. If the instrument is very volatile, then okay, with 5 minute chart is okay. But if the market is not moving so quickly, then it's maybe better to use a higher time frame. I use a double column MACD, which is also a specific indicator because it's signaling us some changes when it's changing the color. Of course, change of the color means change of the direction. And I also use an indicator which is showing supply and demand zones, but this indicator is available only for computers. It's not, you cannot get it on your smartphone or your tablets. So if you are scalping and you want to scalp using this strategy, you have to do it on a computer. Well, first thing is what means scalping. Scalping means taking not much at once, um, but more often. I'm using this MACD, which is, as I mentioned, slightly different from the original. When you look at the MACD, which you have on your computers, it looks like this. My MACD, the one I am using, it's not mine, but the one I am using, looks like that. And the only difference is, of course, the change of the color because the values are the same. I'm using the same settings like original. I'm using 12 and 26. When you go to the settings, you'll find this mm, those numbers as those are the parameters of moving averages. Those are the periods, 12 and 26. The last is 1 because I'm not using this red line. This is a signal line in the original. I put 1 then it's just creating a border around the MACD. MACD is this histogram here. What is this? What is MACD? MACD is a value between two different moving averages, exponential moving averages, and those moving averages are having those period 12 and 26. How I'm using this MACD, how I'm scalping? Well, to scalp, I think one picture is explaining all the rules. What is the best moment to open a sell or to open a buy? When price is creating a maximum of the day. For an example, if this is our 5 minute chart and this is our day, and we see the price is creating a maximum. There were no higher price today. And we also look at the MACD, and MACD is also at the highest price of the highest level of the day. Then we can say that we have a kind of a, opportunity that market is exhausted and maybe it's time to sell. Because we are scalping, we don't plan any long-term trades. We will be satisfied if we get, let's say, 10 pips. 10 pips is already a good profit for a scalper. And if you repeat it a few times per day, it's really giving very interesting results. For people who are watching us today on the YouTube, remember that this session those sessions we are showing as a sample. We have such sessions every day from early morning to late afternoon in two rooms. This is where you are now. It's beginner's room, but we have also advanced room for traders who would like to know a bit more about trading. And you can join it for free, totally for free. You just need to log into the XM site, and it's from Monday to Friday evening. So from Monday morning only, just it's enough to get this, to join those sessions, just log into the exam site. Um, Normally sessions are 55 minutes, but today on YouTube, it's such as a sample, it will be only 15 minutes. So if you finish watching on YouTube and you want to follow the session later, just go to exam site and you'll find us there live. Very interesting moment is when not only that we have a maximum on the price and the MACD, but also if there's a divergence. Here's a sample of a divergence created by the market. Divergence is a situation when price is creating high and higher high, and in the same time, MACD is creating a high and a lower high. Then we can say that this is a divergence, and divergence is also good moments to open a sell. Of course, this strategy works in both directions. You can also buy. So if you see price is hitting the minimum of the day and make this on the minimum of the day, then you can say it's probably a good opportunity to go long. Not always will be such a situation that the candle which is creating the changes on the MACD is on a maximum or a minimum. Sometimes second candle will be the one which is changing MACD, or even sometimes third candle. Then you must think it over. Is it not too late to open a position? But if it's not far away from the bottom, the moment when the candle changed the MACD, it might be also a good opportunity to go long. So those are the simplest rules of the strategy. I think that those two pictures explain a lot, but sometimes we have a bit not so clear situations like on those two samples. For an example, this is a chart of gold, and we can see that we have few setups per day, because this is 5-minute chart and this is the midnight. Yeah? So starting from midnight, we observe the market and we wait for a moment when MACD is extended or creating a divergence. It might be extended to the bottom or extended to the top, but there are sometimes situations like this one here, that the moment when MACD changed the direction, it was the second candle from the top. Okay, this was the maximum, and this is the candle which is creating this change. Then you must ask yourself, is it really a maximum? No. A maximum of the day was here. So you always need to be prepared that this might not work, or it might give a very small move. Much better is the situation when prices on the maximum of the day make this on the maximum of the day, then selling makes it the probability of a good trade is high. Sometimes, as you see, market is trying to cheat us. So if you open a sell or buy, you must have your stop loss in a reasonable distance from the top, because sometimes they try to make another top. I consider the minimum stop loss is 3 times spread from the top or from the low of the day. Uh, but usually I give a minimum 10 pips, 10 pips is the absolutely minimum um, to survive in scalping, because on scalping market is moving sometimes quickly, and it might make a one attempt more to make a high like here, but why I am using those supply and demand zones are because it's also a kind of a natural resistance or natural support for the price. Hello, Ioannis. Hello, Mr. Danushka. I think that I showed those most simple rules I use, and we can go to our charts and see if we can find something now for trading. Yeah, this is my platform which I am trading actually on, and as I mentioned, when I'm scalping, I use usually low time frames. So maybe let's start with 5 minutes and see what's going on. Here on 5 minutes, we can say that because MACD is not extended, it's rather a risk to trade it. And what's also important, we need the MACD to be regular. It means that if it's changing the direction every few bars, then there's a risk that this instrument is in a, let's say, a choppy price action. So when I see that on the 5-minute chart, the MACD is so not reliable, let's say, then I go to higher time frame and look at 15 minutes, where maybe it would look better. Also here, I don't see any good option for a sell or for a buy. Let's see on 30 minutes. Well, 30 minutes starts to look much better because it's more regular. And the last time frame on which I try to scalp is 1 hour. I don't scalp on high time frame because then it's not scalping, it's rather swing trading. And here we can see something interesting happened, that when this MACD turns to bearish, it creates a divergence. Let me draw this divergence. It was like that. Okay. So we can say that a divergence began when? It's when MACD turns to red. This candle was our signal candle, this one here. From here on, when this candle closed, we could start thinking about selling. And as you see, if we would open, this was early in the morning, here it was 4 o'clock here in Europe. So for Asia, it was normal trading time. So opening a short position until now, you would have already 30 pips on a profit. So not bad for a Monday trading. What can we do now? Well, now is a problem that the market is already far away from the top. So opening a sell is risky because maybe this is the end of the move and they might start growing again. So I wouldn't open now, but I see that this was a good entry. And let's see, what is this dotted line here? Maybe this line is important for the market. Let's minimize the chart. Yeah, so this was a kind of a trend line, which was tested here and here. Here it was tested from the bottom, here from the top. So it's a kind of a support and resistance level. The only difference is that it's not flat like this one, but this is a diagonal one. So I think that we can draw it this way. It will be the best position here because we have many attempts to break it. Look how perfectly from the bottom. and then perfectly from the top. So I think that this position for the moving average is the most hmm, realistic, I'd say, or reliable. So what we can expect, that price might try to test it again from the top. How much is left here? It's about 10 pips. I think that it's not, at the moment, it's still not interesting to trade it. Maybe if they push higher, then we can try sell it. Let's see. Hmm. 5 minutes is absolutely not, and doesn't help us at all because it's so choppy. It's changing the direction every few bars.